The Magnolia's cargo hold was built for silence, not for the clatter of insectoid claws tearing down black velvet.
Where's the treasure, old man? You are floating a black vault in deep space. Don't tell me there's nothing inside.
You have made a mistake. This vessel carries 412 souls who are already on their journey home. Leave now, and I will not record your names.
Record our names in that little book. Crew, hear that. This human thinks his ledger scares me more than a plasma bolt.
The old Mortician said nothing more. He opened his leather ledger, uncapped a fountain pen, and wrote a single line with a steady hand. Then he withdrew a small communicator from his vest, tapped a pre-coded sequence, and let a single golden pulse travel up the ship's antenna into the void. Aboard the scavenger ship Greed's Claw, docked by a flexible tube to the Magnolia, no sensor registered the signal, but it raced toward Earth at light speeds.
Captain, these are just coffins. Brass handles, black velvet, no tech, no jewels. Something is wrong. Maybe we should listen to him.
Listen to a human skeleton in a suit. Vec, when have we ever backed down from a ghost story? Strip the brass. Leave nothing.
But that single pulse was already unspooling inside Earth's oldest communication array. And in a hall of black marble, the first bell began to toll. Inside the Earth Mortuary Guild's main hall, a silent alarm shivered through the black marble pillars. Guildmaster Chen's tablet lit with a single cold message.
Protocol 7. A body has been dishonored. Begin the accounting.
Within 9 hours, 800,000 identical messages blinked onto the personal devices of every mortician on Earth.
Captain, we've opened 6 caskets. Only human remains wrapped in silk. No hidden compartments. No valuables.
No valuables? Then, why such a heavy ship? What are you really carrying, old man?
The only weight this ship carries is the promise to see each soul home. That is the treasure.
Lock him on the Greed's Claw. Maybe a few hours in a real cell will loosen his tongue about hidden caches.
They dragged him through the connector tube, past the harsh lights of the scavenger ship, and into a bare holding room.
Home is nearer now. They just don't know it yet.
And in the Guild's command center, the first of 83 jurisdictions began receiving meticulously prepared legal packets bearing the Krell Salvage Concern's name. Aboard the Greed's Claw, a priority alert broke. Edwards Claytus Front Company just had its accounts frozen.
Captain, our Clytus station is gone. Cargo seized, staff arrested. They used a law we've never even heard of.
Bribe them. Double it. I won't lose a station over a clerical error.
Aboard the Magnolia, brass handles were stripped from caskets and piled like scrap.
They strip brass, but every violation is already written in the ledger.
It's not a bribe, Captain. The jurisdiction has override rights, and they're freezing everything.
Override rights? No one overrides us. Show me the authorization code.
The code bore the seal of Earth's Mortuary Guild, though Edward had never heard the name.
Find out who's behind this. It can't be the human.
In the cell, Patrick closed his ledger and listened to the distant hum. He had done his part. For 3 days, the gifts kept arriving. Account freezes, impounded shipments, warrants that unsealed Krell warehouses like old coffins.
Find the leak. Someone sold us out. Is it the Vorthen cartel? They've wanted our routes for years.
Captain, another front company just vaporized. Our banking partner in the Silas system pulled our credit line.
Captain Edward, the dead are still waiting. You can still stop this. Treat what remains with care.
The only thing I'll treat with care is my foot on your throat, old man. You know something. Speak.
The crew is saying we're cursed. They want to abandon the Magnolia and run.
Cursed? I'll show them a real curse. Dock their pay. Everyone works double shifts until we've cleaned her out.
Another holographic node burned red. A Krell salvage yard, now under seizure by a jurisdiction Edward had never visited.
Every name has its reckoning. I only write what already is.
And on the Greed's Claw, the crew began to murmur not about treasure, but about survival.
Captain, our last 3 contacts have gone dark. The Vorthen cartel won't even take our calls.
Cut off. Over paper? Someone's hiding behind lawyers. I'll find them.
At a neutral station, local enforcement raided the Krell warehouse and detained the entire crew without a single shot.
Our ship is now flagged in 5 systems. We can't dock, can't refuel. We're being strangled.
You did this, didn't you? Your little book and your little message. Tell me who you called.
The debt is not to me. I am only a courier for the journey. The debt is to those lying in the hold you defiled.
Defiled. They're dead. Ideal and living profit, not ghost debts.
Back aboard the Magnolia, the stripped brass and torn velvet were silent accusations.
Captain, some of the crew have families. They're scared we'll never see them again.
He still thinks this is about money. He will learn. The ledger never forgets.
A dying informant in the 10th system sent a coded burst through the Krell network before his holding cell went silent.
Captain, he says it's not a cartel. It's a guild, a mortuary guild from Earth. They call it the Mortuary Guild.
A guild of the dead. Next, you'll tell me ghosts are freezing my accounts.
Before the laugh finished, his ship's last credit line was terminated mid-refuel. The fuel nozzle retracted, leaving them dry.
Captain, I intercepted a data packet from the guild. They have a file on every asset we own, every crew member, every front.
A holographic map bloomed across the bridge. Every Krell hiding place, every shell company, every buried account, all marked in cold red.
How? How do funeral workers have a map of my entire operation?
In his cell, Patrick turned a page and wrote another name, his hand as steady as it had been for 40 years.
He didn't just send a message. He set a 4,000-year-old protocol on us.
And the guild's ledger still had pages to turn, and ink that would not dry until every name was marked home. Without warning, every screen on the Greed's claw went black, then resolved into the calm face of an elderly human woman in black robes.
Captain Edward of the Krell Salvage Concern. You have dishonored 412 souls. Return them immediately, and the cost stops here.
Return them? I don't take orders from a human in a robe. Vec, kill the transmission.
In the last 9 days, we have frozen 23 of your front companies, impounded 11 shipments, and flagged your vessel in 83 jurisdictions. You have nothing left.
Captain, she's not lying. The guild's reach is total. We're locked out of everything.
You have 12 hours to release the Magnolia and its caretaker. Do this, and the ledger will note your compliance. Refuse, and your name will be written in a different column.
A different column? Captain, that means they'll destroy us completely. Every name, every family, gone.
She's not threatening violence. She's threatening paperwork, and it's working.
In the cell, Patrick never looked up. He had heard such ultimatums before and knew the protocol would hold. The view screen dimmed, leaving only the ticking clock and a bridge full of scavengers who had just met a power they could not shoot. The 12-hour clock ticked to 11, and the murmurs in the corridors became a drumbeat.
Captain, we're taking command. We won't die for your pride.
Take command. I'll space every one of you.
And then what? The guild will still own us. We have families, Edward. We choose to live.
Edward slammed the bridge lockdown, sealing himself inside with the scuttle controls. But when he entered the self-destruct sequence, the console flashed a remote lock, courtesy of the Earth Mortuary Guild.
They have my engines, my systems. I can't even die on my own terms.
The bridge door hissed open. Vec stood in the doorway, and behind him the old mortician walked calmly, ledger in hand.
It is time for the dead to go home. Will you escort us, Captain?
Edward's mandibles closed. He nodded once, and the ship's autopilot accepted a new course, directly toward Earth. The Greed's claw shuddered as Earth Patrol ships locked guidance and pulled her into a berth at the ring station. Human officers led Edward to a quiet chamber. No brig, only a table, 2 chairs, and the old mortician. Patrick sat at one end, ledger open, the brass handle beside it. Guildmaster Chen stood by the viewport, black-robed and severe.
Captain Edward, the guild has no need for your punishment. We have a different kind of debt to settle.
She turned the ledger to face him. His name, beneath it, a note. Krell remains found, pending repatriation.
My name, and a note about Krell dead. How do they know?
We are Morticians, Captain. Our vow is to see every soul home. That includes your lost crew.
Edward stared at the page. He had buried those names years ago and forgotten.
They weren't attacking us. They were counting us.
He tried to speak, but the words jammed in his throat. For the first time in his life, he felt small. An hour later, Patrick led Edward onto a hangar observation deck overlooking the colony transfer bay.
They have arrived, Captain. 412 souls, each one still traveling.
Through a transparent wall, Edward watched the caskets slide past on silent anti-grav sleds, each draped in fresh black velvet.
They tore that velvet. My crew tore it with their claws. Now it is whole again.
Patrick lifted the polished brass coffin handle from his side and held it out.
Touch it. Feel what you nearly broke.
Edward's claw closed around the brass. It was heavier than any weapon he had ever held.
It trembles. My own claw trembles. I have killed and never trembled.
He did not let go. He held it through the entire procession until the last black-draped casket disappeared into the memorial shuttle. And when it was over, Patrick opened his ledger and wrote a single word that would echo for generations. Guild Master Chen met them at the hangar's edge. Without a word, she led Edward toward a smaller shuttle bay.
30 years ago, 3 Krell were left behind in the Gorn Straits. We found them last month. We prepared them.
The shuttle's ramp lowered. 3 simple black caskets rested on a pallet, each with a polished brass plate.
Zelnik, Vara, Torv, I left them on a dead asteroid. I never went back.
His legs folded. The sound of his chitin scraping the deck turned heads.
They had families. I told them no one would mourn a Krell scavenger. I was wrong.
Patrick placed the brass handle across the caskets like a shared standard.
They are not forgotten now. The ledger remembers. We will see them home.
A funeral guild. They came for the dead, and I thought they'd come for me.
He did not rise for a long time. And when he did, his claw reached for the ledger, not the handle. Patrick led him to a small preparation room adjacent the shuttle bay. The 3 Krell caskets had been brought inside, candles lit at each end.
These are the blanks I keep, Captain. For every soul we find, there must be a mark. Write for them. Say they are home.
Edward's claw closed around the pen, the weight of it absurdly small and monstrously heavy. The first name, Zelnik. The pen scratched once, and the word appeared, Vera, Torv. Each stroke smudged as tears struck the page. When he finished, Patrick took the pen gently and added a small notation beside each name in his own flowing script.
They are not just names now. They are my debt, paid in ink.
They sat in silence, the 3 caskets between them, the ledger open, the ink drying. Somewhere far away, the Magnolia's engines hummed as it prepared for its final leg. But in that room, the only sound was the candle flame and the closing of a ledger. Before the station's artificial dawn, robed acolytes carried the 3 Krell caskets to a guild shuttle, painted in mourning black. Edward wore a simple black armband, now not a mark of shame, but of a debt acknowledged.
3 of my own, going home, and I am allowed to witness it.
As the shuttle's engines primed, Patrick opened the leather ledger once more and turned to a page that was almost full. There, beside the name of Edward's first mate, a Krell who had died on the very heist that began all this. He wrote the date.
That was Corin, my first mate. I never told you his name.
We know. The guild always knows. And now he is home. It is finished.
The shuttle lifted on a pillar of silent light, its course already set for the Krell homeworld. Patrick slid the brass handle into its case and held the closed ledger against his chest. Some promises are not kept with steel or fire. They are kept with ink and with the quiet return of what was lost. Months passed. The Krell salvage concern was no more, and its former captain stood in a sunlit garden before Guildmaster Chen.
You are no prisoner, Edward. Mr. Patrick has asked that you serve the ledger. There are more lost Krell to bring home.
I will. I owe them more than I can ever repay.
Now he stood on a neutral station, a guild liaison, watching a human mortician bend close to a weeping Krell family. The casket bore a single brass plate, an elder lost decades ago, now found by the guild's unceasing search.
I used to think the dead were gone, but the guild treats them like the living, with a debt still owed.
After the rite, he found Patrick in a side chapel, still writing in the leather ledger. The old man looked up but did not stop.
You never punish. You never stop. You just finish the journey.
That is the only revenge worth keeping, Captain. Every homecoming is a quiet one.
Later, Edward's black armband would join the guild's reliquary, a small token marked simply Atonement Volunteer. But his debt had already been paid. In a quiet memorial garden on Earth, an old mortician sat on a stone bench, his leather ledger open on his lap. His white hair was thin, his hands slowed, but the skull paint was immaculate, the black suit pressed. He turned to a fresh page, the last blank left, and wrote his own name in careful script. Beneath it, he added the date and the word he had written thousands of times.
My journey is ended. The ledger will carry on.
He closed the ledger with a soft thump, laid it on the bench beside the brass coffin handle that had never left his side. A cherry blossom petal drifted onto the worn leather cover as he folded his hands. He did not wake. The garden was still, and the sun warmed him one last time. An apprentice found him later, a faint smile on his painted face. The ledger beside him. They said later that he had written himself home, and the guild knew another promise had been kept. Generations later, on a joint human Krell colony world, a young insectoid named Kira stepped into the Hall of Promises. The museum held relics of the mortuary war, but one exhibit drew her, the leather ledger of Mr. Patrick. She pressed her smooth claw to the glass, reading the faded names and the single word beneath each one.
Zelnik, Vara, Torv. These are my ancestors. They were brought home.
She traced the name of Corin, the first mate, and felt the weight of the ink as if it were still wet. A nearby hologram cycled images, Krell families receiving caskets, a human mortician in skull paint weeping with them.
All these souls brought home across the galaxy. And the one who wrote this, he wrote himself home too.
She felt a pull she couldn't explain, a calling that said the ledger's work was not finished.
I will find them. The guild that kept this promise.
She turned from the exhibit, her path already clear, to Earth, to the black marble hall, to the vow. The journey took her across half-known space, but the black marble doors of the Earth Mortuary Guild opened without question. Acolytes led her through the great hall, where images of Patrick and Edward hung in silence, the story told in brass and hologram. Before the dais, a human woman in silver-trimmed black regarded her with patient eyes, the guildmaster of this age.
You are Kira, descendant of Torv. We have been expecting you. Why do you come?
Because I have read the ledger. Because everyone deserves to be seen home, no matter how long the journey.
The ledger does not belong to any one species. It belongs to the dead, and to those who remember. Are you prepared to carry that weight?
I have felt the weight already. I want to learn. I want to serve.
The guildmaster nodded, and an acolyte approached with a small black robe, the first non-human apprentice in 4,000 years.
The ledger's work continues. I am part of it now.
And so the guild's promise stretched a little further into the stars, carried now by one who had been brought home herself. The guild's great hall was silent, save the rustle of robes. At its center, Patrick's worn ledger lay open on a black pedestal.
Kira, descendant of Torv, you come before the ledger to swear the vow. Place your hand on the page where Patrick wrote his own name.
I place my hand on his words and on all he brought home.
Repeat the vow that has guided us for 4,000 years. We will see you home.
We will see you home.
And as her voice faded, a archivist's projection shimmered beside the dais. Patrick, elderly and painted, nodding once in silent approval. The image held for only a breath, long enough for every witness to feel the weight of a promise kept across centuries. Then the guildmaster closed the ledger with a gentle thump that echoed like a seal.
Patrick kept his vow. Now I will keep mine.
The first non-human had spoken the vow that began with a skull-painted mortician and a robbed funeral in the void. Kira, a full mortician now, officiated her first repatriation before a casket that blended human brass with Krell bioluminescent inlays.
We see home Matthias, Leanne, and Titiv. They journeyed together, and together they arrived.
A human father, a Krell mother, and a hybrid child watched their grief held in the quiet space the guild had perfected.
The ledger remembers. I speak their names because the guild never forgets.
After the rite, as mourners departed, she opened the leather ledger to a fresh page.
Patrick's hands once held this pen. His ink wrote the path I follow.
She dipped the pen and wrote, "Home," 3 times, each stroke as careful as the first. She closed the ledger and looked up. On the dome, a projected galaxy map showed golden repatriation lines converging on Earth.
We will see you home.
And in the candlelight, the ledger waited for the next name, the next journey, the next promise kept. Across the galaxy, in 1,000 silent chapels, the words were always the same. On an ice moon, a human mortician in black touched a small brass handle and breathed the ancient vow into the frozen air. In the Krell homeworld, an insectoid apprentice knelt before bioluminescent caskets, her mandibles shaping the promise in a tongue older than the guild. On a station between stars, a mantid and a human stood side by side, their voices blending as they sent a hybrid coffin home. The guild's atlas showed 10,000 repatriations that day, each one a golden thread returning to its origin world. In the reliquary, Patrick's original ledger lay open under glass, its last page worn but still legible. Patrick, home, beside it. A new ledger rested, a fresh home, written in a hand that was not quite human. The promise did not end. It never would, and somewhere, a mortician was already preparing for the next journey. The candle burned on, and the ledger waited. The single candle on the dark table had burned for decades, its wax pooling around a brass coffin handle and a leather ledger that had seen more souls than any starship.
We will see you home.
We will see you home.
We will see you home.
Patrick's whisper was the echo of a promise made in a violated cargo hold, when a single word could have ended it all. Chen's joined it, the voice that had spoken to a scavenger captain in a dead ship, unyielding as the law. Kira's followed, the youngest note, proof that the vow was not bound by blood or chitin. As the flame flared one last time, as if the voices themselves had given it breath, then collapsed into darkness. The room was dark now, but the brass handle still caught the light of a distant star, a small fixed point in the void. And in the silence, the promise did not need to be spoken, but it was. We will see you home. From the darkness, the galaxy bloomed, countless stars, and among them 10,000 golden threads tracing paths home. Threads from human colonies, from Krell hives, from worlds not yet named, all returning to where the promise began. The symbol of the open book rose among the stars, its silver pages spreading like wings. It was the same emblem that Patrick had worn on his lapel, the same that Chen had carried into 83 jurisdictions. Beneath it, in the universal script that all species could read, the words appeared, "We will see you home." For a long moment, the galaxy held its breath, the threads pulsing softly with each completed journey. Then the symbol faded, the words dimmed, and the stars grew small again. But the promise remained, carried in the heart of every mortician who had ever opened a ledger. The candle had guttered out, but its light still traveled, and somewhere in a quiet place between stars, the ledger waited for the next name.